Hello my friends, and welcome back to another video. My name is Inquisitor Joshua. Firstly, I have to say a huge thank you to my first Patreon, Manway is a Tyrant. Never when I made this Patreon did I actually think that anyone would support this journey of mine, and I hope I can keep making it worth it. Thank you so much. Today I want to talk over what are for me some of the best Loyalist Primarch moments in the lore. I'll be going over the order by legion number, rather than which I think is better overall. These moments can vary from epic, heartwarming, inspiring, and even funny. Mainly the moments I personally enjoyed and wanted to talk about. Before we get started, I'd also like to mention that I now have a join button down below, where for only 99p a month, you can support the channel. There'll be unique emojis that you can use on the channel, as well as some little rank icons that will increase with the length of subscription to the channel. If down the line I am able to make this channel into a full-time job, I will take a hard look at what I can do to add benefits for subscribers, as well as different membership tiers. Now, let us begin. Lionel Johnson is a Primarch famous for his keen sense of loyalty, sharp tactical mind, and relentless straightforwardness that can rub people the wrong way. And though respected by his brother Primarchs, they don't necessarily enjoy his company. This less than subtle way of dealing with people and situations has rightly given the Lion a reputation for letting his temper get out of hand, resulting in a fair few unfortunate mistakes that to this day Johnson still comes to regret. One of such is a very unpopular beheading of Chaplain Nemiel, a Dark Angel Astartes that had been with the Lion since Caliban. His relationship with his sons has ever really been one of deep respect, yet not much could ever have been said of genuine caring. So, when Lionel Johnson made his return back to the setting recently, he had evidently had time for some serious reflection, and has since started to show a more patient and understanding side, even to the point of forgiving the fallen and recruiting them into the risen. This new sense of empathy led to a moment where we truly get to see this growth come front and center when some of the risen in the Arks of Omen express their concern at how their presence may sully the Lion's reputation. Here, Johnson gives a nice little heartwarming speech to his sons, assuring them that their place is by his side and that the faithful may find redemption in his company. "The Dark Angels are my sons," said the Lion, in a tone that brought no disagreement. "All of the Dark Angels, those who name themselves Unforgiven and those they call Fallen. I have not forgotten this, and you may take my oath upon it, and I will not allow it to be overlooked by anyone else. I care not whether they be lowly serf, or my father himself upon his golden throne." "My lord," said Bors, his heart thundering. He dropped to one knee, brought down by the force of conviction in the Lion's calm but utterly relentless words. He saw his brothers follow suit. "I reject none but the faithless," L. Johnson continued. "The betrayers, those who spurned all that the First Legion stood for, those who instead sullied their magnificence with the poisoned taint of chaos, as did the traitor Seraphax, as did Luther." No matter the millennia that had passed, and all the miles uncounted that he had travelled since that last terrible day on Caliban, still, the name of the arch-betrayer caused Bors a shudder of anger and guilt. "Even such as they may know my forgiveness," said the Lion, his words hard and clipped. "But understand, my sons, their only absolution comes beneath the keen edge of my blade. So shall I end their suffering, their corruption, and the dishonor that they embody by their very act of being. But you..." The Lion set aside blade and shield to reach down with both hands. He clasped Bors by his shoulder guard and raised him back to his feet again. He moved between them and repeated the process for each of the kneeling warriors before he spoke again. "You are my risen sons. You do me nothing but honor by your presence at my side. So shall it be known by all." Jaghatai Khan, for many, was an unexpected hero of the Horus heresy. His loyalty was constantly in question, and even the Emperor did not truly know which way he would turn during the conflict. At his core, the Khan is a man of the people. To him, his choice to stay loyal was obvious, for when faced with the option of either his flawed father, who, though cold in his logic to saving the galaxy, was far preferable to his blatantly out-of-control brothers who actively used the literal forces of hell to achieve their ends. During the Siege of Terra, the Khan had been stabbed with a combat knife by a lucky Death Guard Marine, and for the first time in his life, he felt ill. And not just ill, deathly ill. If not for the intervention of his sons and eventually Sanguinius, he may have died there and then. Once back behind the safety of the palace walls, the illness was purged from his body by the very presence of his father, just being nearby within the palace. The fact that the Khan had been stricken ill so easily as a Primarch disturbed him, and so the knowledge of the traitor legion's potent biological weapons remained at the forefront of his mind as they regrouped with Rogal Dorn and the High Lords of Terra. The High Lords informed them of the devastation being caused by Horus's forces, and the billions of lives that would be lost if Rogal Dorn did not send out forces to aid them. Rogal Dorn was adamant that if the Emperor were to fall, then all would be lost, while the Khan saw little reason in protecting the Emperor if the people they fought for were to die. Dorn placed his fist upon the workbench. The bench was a crude thing, plasteel sheets bolted to scaffold pole legs. The surface was neatly arrayed with tools. He stared at them in silence. They were covered with the dust of neglect and left perfect outlines where curious refugees had moved them. "No more risks," he said. "Either of you. Can you imagine the blow to morale alone if one of you died?" "I am sorry, my brother, but I am going to disappoint you again," said the Khan. Dorn turned around so quickly the tools rocked. "Do not take your legions away," said Dorn. "I forbid it." The Khan held his eyes. "You heard the High Lords. The people of Terra are dying. You are sacrificing the population of this world," he said. "It is pragmatism, I know. You present a cold face to the world, brother, but your heart does not match it. You know this is not right. If we cannot protect the men and women of mankind's cradle, how can we claim the best interests of humanity are at the center of what we do?" "You have known my strategy since you returned to the throne world, brother," said Dorn. The shocking white of his hair accentuated the paleness of his face. In the dimly lit room, it seemed age had finally got its talons into him. "Your objections are noted, but at this late stage, meaningless." "You shackle me to the palace with too short a chain," said the Khan. "We fought the Great Crusade to free humanity, not to sacrifice it." Dorn nodded once, though not in agreement. He rested his hand on his sword hilt. "Jaghatai, I understand. I feel your anguish that mortal men and women suffer to ensure our father survives. But war is a calculation. This one, more than all others. Life cannot be measured in absolute terms any longer. Every death must be set against one consequence alone: how much time it can buy us. Time is the currency of this battle. We must hoard seconds like misers. Lives we have in abundance. They can and must be spent freely. Regrettably, neither of the others spoke. "Do not be hasty, brother," said Dorn, more gently. "Horus continues his bombardment of the surface. He is still testing us, still probing the defenses of this world. He is saving his best troops. He knows we cannot spare our own legionaries anywhere but here. The creatures assailing the hives of Terra are scum, dregs, opportunists and fanatics. While here, our outwork forces arrayed against them are more than enough to keep them back. These attacks of the Death Guard are intended to draw us out. Their presence shows our strategy is working. Leave and you will be playing into Horus's." "The situation is fluid," said the Khan. He spoke without rancor, but his objections were clear. "Horus will land all his legionaries soon. I prefer to act now, while I am still free to do so." "If you do, you will provoke his attack," said Dorn. Making the enemy change his plans is strength. Force your enemies to react to you. A general who waits for his enemies to act is already defeated. I learned this as a child. Your wars were different to mine, said Dorn. Then perhaps you should listen to me, said the Khan. The Ordu are better served in swift battle. On the walls they are worth 10 men. If we ride, 20 or more. I will not stand by while billions die. Jaghatai, said Dorn in exasperation. Brothers, said Sanguinius. Arguing over eventualities that have not yet come to pass serves nothing. Every strategic sense I possess tells me that Horus will direct his forces to reave the planet to exploit our concern for humanity, said Dorn. He does this expressly to divide our efforts. When we are split and our warriors spread, that is when the War Master will fall on us and seize victory. We must stand united. Then you do not disagree with me, said the Khan. The population is at risk. I anticipated slaughter long ago, said Dorn, and I regret that this chain of events came to pass. But we cannot respond to whatever provocation Horus presents to us. We cannot let ourselves be lured out. We cannot follow his plan. We will make ourselves weak, then all is lost. Since when was saving mankind from the darkness a sign of weakness, said the Khan. Sanguinius, my brother and comrade, what do you see? Lend me your foresight. Sanguinius shut his eyes. Like that, he appeared drawn and tired, a funerary monument to himself. Dorn suppressed a shudder. My sight is not so clear as father's, said Sanguinius. The future is ever in flux. Only some events, he paused, finding the words hard to say. Only some events are certain. Do you see me? What will be the consequences of inaction? I see fire and blood and a world laid to waste if you do not act. If I act, said the Khan. Sanguinius opened his eyes to look at him. There is a grave risk to you, a confrontation unlooked for, and, if you survive, a flight from one danger into greater peril. Who will I face? I cannot divine. Will I save lives? Sanguinius nodded. Many. That is what I was made for, said the Khan. I will ride out. We will save lives by holding the palace, said Dorn. So long as the Emperor lives, Horus cannot be victorious. You hold the palace, said the Khan, turning his hard brown eyes back on Dorn. I will not leave the ordinary citizens of Terra defenseless. Leman Russ is the Emperor's executioner, and often used by the Emperor to set an example to those who would go against his orders. One of the first times this would take place was when the Wolf King was sent by his father in order to bring Angron and his World Eater Legion back to Terra, with the intention of having the Butcher's Nails removed from them and bringing them back into line. The Butcher's Nails are a cybernetic implant that were used by nobles on Angron's homeworld of Nuceria. These implants would be inserted into the skulls of gladiators in order to enhance their fighting strength and aggression, which would lead to brutally bloody matches to the death. Angron had these implants replicated and used on his own sons in order to make them more deadly fighters, and though effective, this led to his legion becoming a rampant bloodthirsty horde of brawlers, rather than the strategic soldiers they were meant to be, as well as all their Astartes brothers. This overwhelming bloodlust and need for battle would lead Angron and the World Eaters to the needless massacre of an entire planet known as Genna. Russ would arrive after the massacre and attempt to convince Angron to return to Terra with him and see their father, something Angron had no intention of doing. Neither Primarch would back down, leading to an all-out fight between the Space Wolves and the World Eaters, something Leman Russ took advantage of and believed he could use in order to teach Angron a much-needed lesson, not one of brute strength, but of a tactical mind. Russ crawled away, fanged teeth clenched, breathing spit as much as breath. Strings of it tumbled from his cracked lips with each rasping exhalation. Angron chased as the Wolf King staggered to his feet, but Russ opened his arms wide, offering no fight. "Do you see?" he said. No, he barked it. He barked it not like a simple beast, but with human passion backed by canine ferocity. Conviction burned in his eyes, the same instinctive viciousness of a dog defending its family. "Look, damn you! Look around you! Do you see what you've done to your sons?" At the battle's core, sense pierced Angron's aching sight long enough to leave him speechless. The axe in his hand lowered. He looked around at the ranks of wolves facing him with their bolters raised. They came in ragged packs, abandoning the warfare to form a ring around the Primarchs. Wolf after wolf, close enough for Angron to make out the individual totems and talismans rattling against their storm grey armour, moving to stand in ragged ranks with their brothers. One of them, a tribal leader of some kind, stood out by the elaborate blue pack markings over his faceplate. "It's over, Lord Angron," he said. "Russ!" He turned to his brother and pointed with one bloody hand over the encircling wolf pack to where the Legion still fought across the rest of the battlefield. "Your Legion is bleeding." Russ didn't deny it, for it was true. Beyond the encircled Primarch, the World Eaters were tearing through their cousins' grey regiments, fighting without sign of formation, just as they fought without any regard for their Primarch. Even in those early days, they were used to Angron fighting alone, and their fresh implants stole any hope of cohesive battle planning. Their stunted brains wouldn't let them bring order to the chaos. The few World Eaters in possession of their senses, Lork's towering iron form was one, Angron noted through narrow eyes, were throwing themselves at the wolves entrenched around the dueling Primarchs, but they lacked the numbers to break through Russ's defensive packs. "My men are dying," Russ admitted, "yet here we stand at the battle's heart, and only one Legion is about to lose its Primarch. Do you see why I came? Do you see how you've broken your sons?" He threw his arms in the air in a wide pass of the battlefield. "The wolves are soldiers taking an objective. They fight to win, while your World Eaters fight only to kill." "Victory comes," Angron smiled, showing a crescent of bloody teeth, "to the last man standing." Russ spared a glance to the wider battle, wincing at the devastation being inflicted upon both legions. "This is true in the gladiator pits, Angron, but our father desires soldiers and generals, not gladiators. Death is a necessity. It comes for our foes, and it comes to our own soldiers when we cannot spare them. You spend your legion's lives like a lord spends coins. It cannot continue." Angron had followed Russ's glance, but where the Wolf King gave the battle a mere glimmer of attention, Angron was paying full and amused attention. "War is only won when every enemy is dead. A pacified enemy is still an enemy." "War gladiator wisdom, Angron. Look at my men surrounding you. Have you honestly learned nothing from this?" "Your men are losing, Leman." He grinned at his brother. "Let's take this to the last breath, eh? Let the bloodshed play out with the dance of cutting blades. We'll see which legion still stands. Neither will stand, but you die the moment my men open fire. Death holds no sacred mystery to me, Russ. It holds no terror." He laughed then through the nail's pain, laughing hard enough that his eyes watered. "I may even welcome it. Are you empowered by our beloved father, dog? Can you really give me death? Or has your posturing already gone too far? Will you run back to Terra and report that you lost control of your mongrel blooded curs in the same way you slandered me?" Angron's pain-slitted eyes locked to his brother, and he laughed even harder. "This was never meant to come to battle. I see it in your eyes. You took a step too far, little executioner. Now, you fear how it will all end." He stepped closer, his amusement turning sick and savage. "Executioners are the murderer of helpless prey, Russ. What you've committed to here, brother, is a fair fight." He nodded over the battlefield again. "And I say once more, your men are losing. You know why? Because yours have something to live for. They care. Mine fight for pleasure, knowing any life outside of war is denied to them. Their own lives are as meaningless to themselves as they are to me, and that is the gift given by the butcher's nails. Warriors, not soldiers. Warriors with no fear of death, and no caution to guard against it. They don't protect, they kill. They cast aside all thoughts of their own lives and a hunger to end others. Remember that, Russ. Remember it well. This isn't over, Russ promised. Whatever soothes your bruised pride, dog. Leman Russ, Primarch of the Valka Fenrika, took in one long, deep breath and cast his howl to the sky. Angron was convinced he had won this fight, yet even his brother Lorgar chastised him for being so blind as to the reality of what occurred. As much as Lorgar isn't someone we should be agreeing with often, in this case, we should. And I couldn't explain it any better than he, so I'll read out his response to Angron after the World Eater's Primarch retold the events to his brother. How can you not see it? Lorgar steepled his fingers, trying to rein in his own temper. They won a victory worthy of engraving on their armor for all time, while you were glorying in your strength. Russ's sons were loyal enough to come to him, to surround you both, to threaten your life while you stood at the vanguard of your own legion. That may be the most comprehensive moment of outmaneuvering in the history of the Legionis Astartes. It's almost poetic in its elegance and emotional resonance. He proved his son's loyalty, while yours leave you to die. He proves the damage the nails are doing to your legion. He proves the tactical strength of taking an objective rather than fighting purely to kill. He spares your life in the hope you'll see all of this, in a lesson it cost him heavily to teach you, and your reaction is to grin and claim yourself the victor. Rogal Dorn is the very face of stoicism in the 40k setting. His traitor brothers try time and time again to get a rise out of him, only to rebuff them with a stone-like face that even Marcus Aurelius would be proud of. As a master of the defensive art of war, Dorn was tasked by his father with the defense of the Imperial Palace on Terra, something of which he was perfectly suited for, and in fortifying the walls with heavy artillery numbering in the millions, as well as reinforcing the durability of the structures themselves, Terra was as ready as it would ever be for the arrival of Horus's fleet. So when Fulgrim brings down the full force of his legion, roughly 100,000 Emperor's children, against Dorn's defences, the two would inevitably clash blades at the top of the Saturnine wall. Rogal Dorn would be immovable from his task, killing Fulgrim. Fulgrim would spend the fight trying to goad a reaction out of Dorn, mocking him, attacking his silence, expecting him to plead for him to abandon Horus and return to the Loyalists, only for the Primarch of the Imperial Fist to simply respond with his intent on killing his fallen brother. Fulgrim would lose what little he had left of his composure after this, and prematurely claim his victory over taking the wall. "Look around! Look around!" Fulgrim screeched. "See what's happening, Rogal Dolt! Your tower is tumbling down. No more running to daddy crying, look what I have built. It took you years to make this, and in one night I roll down upon you, crack your shield and build a foothold." Dorn stamped at him, and they traded 4 swift blows that chimed like bells. "Look," said Dorn. His gaze did not shift from Fulgrim's face. "I don't have to. I see it all." "All what?" snarled Fulgrim. He swung. Dorn turned the blade aside. "I see your siege machines burning at the foot of the wall," said Dorn. "I see your sonic weapons silenced. I see your host, foolishly committed in its entirety, pouring into a run of a wall that can be held by a force 1/10 that size." Their blades flashed and rang again. Dorn lost a chunk of shield. Fulgrim took a laceration to the shoulder. "And is held by a force 1/10 that size," said Dorn calmly. "Imperial Fist now bolstered by the 200 Legionis Astartes veterans I brought with me. 200 veterans who are skilled in every doctrine of war, who have rallied this garrison and this wall stretch, and are now slaughtering the vanguard you so wantonly committed. They thank you for giving them such a wealth of bodies to reap. You have no foothold." "I have!" Fulgrim roared. He smashed his blade at Dorn, a series of furious strokes. Dorn parried them away. Only one got through and gouged his shoulder guard. "No," said Dorn as they circled again. "You're a fine fighter, but a poor strategist. You committed everything against a gap that could be held. You've burned the cream of your host for nothing. Made them cannon fodder. 9,000 dead and counting. I know, Fulgrim. I know everything." "You know nothing," Fulgrim cried. He railed in, and his gleaming blade sliced the flesh above Dorn's right eye. Dorn caved his ribs with the edge of his shield, punching him in his face with his sword's guard, and kicked him backwards. "You've let yourself be used as a distraction," said Dorn, keeping his gaze on his adversary, ignoring the blood pouring down his face. "You've let your host be decimated, for nothing. The Saturnine ruse, I know about that too, has failed. Perturabo played his move and lost his piece. You're just a pawn. Was it the Lord of Iron who fooled you into this? Lupercal? Abaddon? You must have been willing. Were you getting bored of it? The spear tip is broken. You're holding a gate for no one. You're just an idiot standing on a wall." Sanguinius is a fan favourite for good reason. He invokes love and respect from his sons, admiration from his brothers, and fear from his enemies. Even greater demons learn very quickly how dangerous Sanguinius is. His golden aura and angelic wings inspire awe among those that witness his majesty, of which none of this is for show, for he is a powerhouse unlike any other, so much so that even Horus himself believed that Sanguinius was more worthy of the role of War Master. With Horus aware of how deadly Sanguinius was to his rebellion, he sent his brother away to Cygnus Prime, to be ambushed by the greater demons Kabunda and Kairos. During this conflict, Sanguinius and Kabunda would come head to head, both struggling to overcome the other. Sanguinius would eventually bring Kabunda to his knees, only for the greater demon to reveal that Horus had betrayed them, giving the Blood Angel's Primarch enough pause to drop his guard, allowing Kabunda the opportunity to break the Great Angel's legs with his whip. The demon then turned his attention to the wounded Primarch's sons, explaining that to truly make Sanguinius suffer, he would strike the deepest of wounds. Kabunda let loose a rage fire that instantly ended the lives of 500 Blood Angel Astartes, and the resulting psychic backlash leaving Sanguinius comatose. The result of this caused the Legion to succumb to the infamous Red Thirst. It was thanks to the Blood Angel's librarian Kano and his brother librarians who were able to resist the Red Thirst and together perform a psychic ritual, something forbidden during the Council of Nicaea, yet were able to bring back their father from his comatose state, though unfortunately nearly all died in the process. Sanguinius was reborn, radiating pure power. He set his sights on vengeance. Glassy matter and bone frames exploded in millions of fragments, the circular mandala window destroyed by the force of the angel's arrival. Sanguinius landed with a thunderous roar at his back, his wings raising in shimmering arcs of white, the shine of his battle armor as dazzling as the light of daybreak. A pure force of will radiated from him, magnificent and unending. The Primarch was at that moment the very antithesis of the shroud of hate and horror that had taken root on Cygnus Prime. It was as if the universe itself had decided to express its disgust at these demon things through his martial fury. Sanguinius rose like a golden storm, vengeance incarnate, the righteous power of a brother betrayed and a father wronged crackling at his fingertips. Lightning swift, he surged forward, the length of his crimson-bladed greatsword lifting to cut the ashen dust. He did not turn to lay his gaze upon the goat-headed Kairos, not even for an instant, yet Sanguinius' sword left his hand with a flick of his forearm, and it sang as it sliced through the air towards the pink-skinned demon. The tip of the blade pierced Kairos' muscular gut with such force that it ran through, slamming the beast back into the walls of the bone temple. The creature released a high-pitched, ululating scream as it struggled in place, pinned there by the full force of the sword. like an insect of curious nature captured for study. This was done on fleet foot in the blink of an eye. The Bloodthirster was already turning towards the Angel, its execution of Captain Ralderon forgotten in the face of this new attack. Axe and lash flexed in brawny clawed hands as it squared up to meet him. Sanguinius crossed the yellow tessellate of the chamber floor, the cheers of his noble sons echoing. Bloodletters baying for murder rushed to meet him, hellblades as red as hate rebounding off his armour. The Primarch gave them little heed, smashing them aside or crushing them into the ground with heavy swinging blows from his mailed fists. Kabunda spat and threw the arc of his whip out into a downward stroke. Sanguinius did not falter in his approach, his left wing snapping forward to cloak his face, meeting the barbed tip of the lash, blood jetting where the hook spit deep. He hissed in pain but shrugged off the assault, closing to point-blank distance, reaching for his foe. The demon was ready for him, and the Bloodletter's arm fell with the axe set to cleave the Angel's skull in two. Sanguinius's hands came together in a strident crash of sound, catching the blade between them. For a brief moment, the two titans struggled against each other, eyes locked, muscles bunching.
"You came back,"
grated the demon. "My sons found me."
"That changes nothing, little angel."
The axe trembled, shifting back and forth. One mistake and the blade would fall. Across the chamber, the impaled Kyrus bellowed over the sound of the Angel's legionaries in battle with its foot soldiers.
"Kill him!"
Kabunda's tongue flickered.
"Your precious legion will be destroyed, Sanguinius. You cannot stop it. Even now your chosen are caught in the depths of a killing rage. They cannot escape. It is too late. The poison is in them. You know that as well."
"Perhaps," hissed Sanguinius, "but they will not fall today. I will not permit it." He bared his fangs in a snarl. "This ends now, demon." With a wordless shout, the Angel twisted his arms, his hands tearing at the strange, grisly material of the axe head. A sickening crack broke about the room like the snapping of a spine, and Kabunda's weapon shattered across its length, shattering pieces of shrapnel. Before the creature could react, Sanguinius grasped one of the Bloodthirster's curved horns and jerked it forward with all his might. The Primarch brought up his fist to meet the beast's snout and landed a flurry of quick blows from the knuckles of his gauntlet before Kabunda shoved him away. Spitting out globs of black, fuming blood and broken teeth, the demon growled.
"Look at you. Where is your noble angel now, abhuman? Better the sweet blood to smother you."
Kabunda's arm swung back, the brass cord of its whip scraping across the bone floor, flickering up into the air for another lethal blow as powerful as the one that had struck down the Angel upon the plains of the damned. Sanguinius reacted faster than the eye could follow. He flashed into the air, wings crackling, and caught the razored tips of the whip before they could reach him. The cords burned where they touched the ceramite, pennants of vapour issuing from between his armoured fingers. The Primarch dove with the Bloodthirster, dragging the lash down with him, and before the creature could react, he pulled the whip into a loop across the howling monster's throat. Angel and demon collided, crashing to the floor. Kabunda released his grip on the lash, but it was too late. The brass cables pulled tight. Sanguinius gave the whip a violent tug, and the Bloodthirster's howls became strangled, frenzied barks. The beast tried to break free, swatting at the Primarch, grasping at air. Its bat-like wings unfurled, the talons at their tip, scratching gouges in Sanguinius's armour. With cold and lethal precision, the Primarch arrested the wild, beating motion of one of the freakish wings with his bare hand. "Only angels may fly," he said, darkly, tearing out the black pinions. The sound was like the splitting of a great sackcloth sail, and the demon Kabunda screamed loud enough to shake the walls. Warpfire gushed from the stump of the wing and it shuddered in agony, a sensation it had only known previously from the cries of its enemies. With the whip still coiled around its neck, the Angel dragged the spitting, wounded fiend to the lip of the pit in the middle of the chamber, then lifted it up so he could look it in the face. The demon cackled through its pain, convulsing as it tried to shake free.
"I will take your skull yet."
The Primarch's eyes flashed with a powerful hatred. "If you truly do hail from the realm that men once called Hell," he intoned, When you return there, tell your kindred it was Sanguinius who threw you back. With a grunt of effort, the angel took hold of the beast and shoved it over the spiked edge. Kabunda's curses echoed all the way down before it finally vanished, shrieking into the warp flames. Thank you everyone for watching this video. I'm still messing around with what kind of content I want to be making, and honestly, I'm going to be giving everything a try and see what I enjoy. Like the video if you liked it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, hit the notification button if you want to be notified when a new video comes out, and as I said at the start of the video, I now have a join button if you'd like to support the channel, as well as a Patreon for the same purpose. If you have a favourite Loyalist Primarch moment, let me know down in the comments below.
Let's feed the algorithm gods.
Thank you all for watching again, my friends, and ta for now.